Hey party people, I'm Sean Mullen from RampantDesignTools.com, and today I'm going to show you how to use all the transitions that you'll find in the Rampant Style Kits. So if you don't know what the Rampant Style Kits are, go to RampantStyleKits.com, that's RampantStyleKits.com, and you'll run into a little page that looks something like this. You can highlight over and see what kind of different elements and different things are in each style kit. But there are these great little $19 kits that have a big punch. They're over 20 elements, 4K, really great stuff. But inside each and every single one of these are a bunch of transitions, and we get the question a lot, how do I use these? So that's what this is all about. All right, I'm heading into Adobe Premiere Pro. It doesn't matter what version of Premiere Pro you're using because everything what we're doing is basically found in every version of Premiere. All right, so I've got all these really cool transitions. Sean, how do I use them? Well, first let's take a look at the kinds of transitions you'll find in these style kits. So we've got this cool like action flishy flashy, boom. Very bold, very bright, whammy. Going to show you how to do that. And then moving on over to this one, we go from this kid on the couch working on his laptop to this woman working in a studio. Very cool, very more widely appealing flash there, very cool stuff. And then we're going to go from this cool kid transitioning into his football jersey using some glitch transitions. And I'm going to show you an alternate effect using the same transition on how to do that right there. And then of course we're going to move on to our world famous matte transitions, and for whatever reason this gives people a lot of headache and a lot of trouble just because they confuse themselves on how the process works, and I'm going to simplify it for you because it's super easy, and then once you've done it once you can do it 1,000 times. So that's it. I'm going to walk you through this very, very quickly. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them below, or go to our Rampant community, which is rampantdesign.community, and ask for any tutorial requests or have any comments or questions, or if you want something that we've never done before, hit us up. All right, so let's get started. Let's recreate this edit right here. Cool. So we've got this same edit right here, just the raw edit, just the cut, boom, and we want to add that really cool little flishy flashy that we saw, which is right here. Now it's already in my timeline, so I could just option drag it, and if you've got something in your timeline, you can just option drag, replace, and boom, you're good to go. But what if you don't have it? Well, once you've imported it, these are just clips, right? You can now scrub through it like you would any other clip in the world. So then you just grab it and then drag and drop it, right? I'll just go ahead and delete that one. All right, so now that we've got our flash in here, we just got to place it. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We have to place it for timing, because obviously that's not the edit we want. And then we also need to figure out a way like, well, how do I see my footage underneath? All I see is this light thing and everything's gone. Everything's black now. What happened? So let's address both things first. If you have a clip from the Rampant library that has a black background, and this is not just exclusive to transitions, but if you have a black background and you want to see through it, the quickest way to solve that is to highlight your clip, hit Shift-5, which will open up effect controls, and right here, right next to opacity, right here it says blend mode. Switch that from normal to screen. So every time you have a black background, start by switching your blend mode to screen. You can also use add or linear dodge. You can use overlay. Feel free to experiment with all these, but the steadfast rule is when you're starting with these clips, start off with screen and then change around from there. All right, so now that I've got it at screen, you've got a flash here. You're not seeing the black background anymore, but it's obviously not timed correctly. So there's a couple ways you can time your transitions. You can just move them until you get the feeling that you're looking for, which works. I just happen to make that work, right? Or if this is off like it was before, you're like, hey, that's not cool. You can double click on the element, right? And just scrub through until you see a frame that's covering the entire frame right here. Like the flash right here is covering the majority of the frame, right? So let's go ahead and mark our in, and that's gonna be where we're gonna cover our edit. So where's our edit? Our edit is right here, boom. So let's go ahead and just line that up, right? So if I roll it back and just do this, see? And that's also a cool effect. If you don't want flash on the front side of the edit, but you want it on the back, that works too. I do that a lot in my action edits. But now all you have to do is grab the front of the edit and just pull it forward, right? So it's like, all right, let me do that again without all the talking, all right? So once again, simple. See? All you do is you change the blend mode, and so you just go Shift-5 to open up effect controls, go to opacity where it says blend mode, and change it from normal to screen. And then you just reposition it. You can do it manually, or you can do it over here in the source window. All right. So cool. Edit number 1, done. Moving on to edit number 2. See? Not so hard. Super easy. We make stuff that makes you look good and it's easy to use. We're not trying to give you any extra work to do here. All right, so here's our raw edit. You've got the cool guy on the couch working on his blog post or a beat or something, and then, or maybe he's working with his producer. I don't know what the story is, but you see this kind of effect all the time in so many reality shows and commercials. So let's go ahead and just grab this style effect, this transition, just drag it on top. And as you can see, just like before, it's like, okay, cool. I didn't blend it, and I just randomly picked a timing, and it kind of sort of works. But again, I didn't follow my rules of timing, but that did work, right? So a couple things. This particular element has an alpha channel in it, but I don't like putting alpha channels on light because, see, notice this doesn't work. This is a solid color and this is a gradated color. This is not what light leaks look like. So I always still like to highlight my element, hit Shift 5, go over to opacity, and pull blend mode from normal to screen. Boom. See, to me, that personally looks a lot better, but it's up to you and it's up to your client. All right, so rolling back in. Zoop. Cool, so the timing's wrong. So let's go ahead and double click, and over here in the source window, let's just scrub through and see what's going on here. So it looks like from left to right, the frame is flashed over here, and then it comes back, and then boom, it's a double whammy, you know? So you have an opportunity. You could easily make the edit here, or you could wait and make the edit here, right? Wherever the frame is completely full is a great place to make your cut. So let's go ahead and just do that now. Mark your in right there. And what did I say before? You match your in point of both your top edit and your element. So just go like that, zoop, and wham, you've got yourself a transition. Now, of course, in this particular element, it'd be great to pull the rest back out here. So you've got a little intro to the transition, and whoosh, see, there you go. Super easy. Now, of course, a lot of people are like, well, what if I don't want it to be pink? Of course, not everything is going to be pink. So let's solve that. Go ahead and highlight your transition right here, and go under the effects window, like so. And let's look for color correction, and you're looking for tint. You can also type it right up in here, tint, like so, and then just drag that onto your element. Boom, and once you do that, it turns the pink element to white. Why? Well, let's go ahead and highlight our transition, hit Shift 5 to go to Effect Controls, and boom, 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 tint. Well, that's because it says map white to white here. So let's go ahead and make it any color. Make it maybe blue, boom, or green. And then, of course, you can play with the amount. You can blend it so it's not so unnatural there. You can, blend it to make it more of a natural color, and then just roll back. Maybe that's still too saturated. See? Booyah. All right, moving on to the next edit, which was over here. Cool. So we've gone past the light transitions. I've shown you how to just drag and drop a light transition over your edit and blend it. And same here, right? You just find your edit point and then you just trim it back. All right, so this one's more fun. This is a glitch edit, a glitch transition, and these things are a lot of fun for me because you can use them so many different ways. Okay, so here's our raw edit, and we're gonna add a little glitchy goodness to this. So the first thing you can do with a glitch transition is literally just drag and drop it on top, right? And that's cool. And that works, right? And of course, what did I tell you about the light stuff? That still applies to the glitch stuff. So the glitch elements have alpha channels, as you see, right? So there's matting built in. But to get a little bit of a different effect, I always like to blend. So go ahead and highlight your glitch element. Hit Shift 5 for effect controls, and then change blend mode here from normal to screen. And as you can see, it's going to blend in a little bit. So if you roll back, so now it's just definitely a little bit more blended, right? You can also do overlay. Give yourself a really, really trippy look, right? And you can also do, you can play around with it, whatever you want. You can do a multiply and give yourself a really odd look. It just depends on what you want to do, right? So I'm going to stick with screen because that's kind of my thing. And that's it. I'm done. I didn't even have to find the frame like I normally do, but because I like to follow procedure, let's go ahead and double click on the transition. And just find a frame where the entire frame is covered, right? That's good. That's good. Either one of these will work. I'm going to do it on this one. Hit mark in, right? And I'm just going to zoom in over here. And like, what did I say before? These need to line up, right? So just scooch this over like so. And so you hit play, and it's whammy. It's done. And then, of course, you can just peel this back. Cool. So that's one method of using the glitch transitions, right? I love to do a little blend, just have a little bit of fun, right? But what if you wanted to take it another step, right? Here's that edit again. What if you wanted to do what I showed you before, which was right over here. how do I get that weird glitchiness? Like, how did I do that? You know, there's like more bumps than there are layers here. How did we do that? Well, let me show you. It's a very simple technique, and you're going to use it all the time, I promise you. All right, so we need another copy of this element right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and option drag it over like so, right? And then we'll find a timing for it. That's actually pretty good. That works, right? But we can mess around with it whenever we want. So let's just go ahead and scooch this over. Let's just do it like that. There we go. All right, highlight your top football layer or your top video layer and go over to your effects window here. So just go to effects and close this out if you still have something in your search. And I'm looking for track matte key right here. And go ahead and put that on your top layer. Now hit Shift 5 for effect controls. And right here, you're going to see track matte key. This is super, super simple. A lot of people get confused with what we're doing here. And it's you're literally just pushing video through another layer. It's really, really simple. So you've only got a couple questions to answer. And it's saying, hey, where's your matte? That's the only question right now. Where's the matte? So right here, here's my video and here's the matte. The matte is right here on video layer 4. So let's go ahead and change this from none to video layer 4. Boom. Awesome. And so let's just roll it back. Boom. So if I turn this layer off right here, you can see that it's actually pushing this video through this layer right here. So basically wherever it's not black, wherever there's any kind of information, you'll see this video. And that makes for a very cool looking effect, I think anyway. Oh yeah, I also forgot to tell you, just like you did last time, going back to this glitch effect real quick, if you want to change the effect color, what do? We go to a tint, right? So let's go ahead and tint it one more time. Go over here, type in tint, drag tint over here, whammy, and then just change map white to whatever. Maybe you want more of a red, you know, like, you know, and like I said before, after you change the color, you can always adjust the amount to tint to give you a mixture of the original and the tinted. See? Cool stuff. All right. So now that I've shown you how to use a track matte, that's a perfect segue into my favorite transitions that you're going to find here at Rampant, and those are matte transitions. And we get so many phone calls and emails. This is something we get no less than a few hundred emails a week. For whatever reason, people are overcomplicating their lives when it comes to track matte. So I'm going to simplify that for you so they become a friend and not a foe. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, here. So you've got one of our world famous holiday reindeer transitions. Whoop. All right, and you see that, and you're like, well, how are we even doing that, right? Well, it's the same procedure that I just showed you with the football player, right? So all of our matte transitions are basically this. It's just, you know, white on black, or maybe a series of gradients between white and black. But so basically, here's how mattes work, right? Whatever is white in this particular situation is where your video is going to show, and whatever's black is going to be invisible. Now you can invert it and do the opposite if you'd like, but for this example, we'll just keep things simple. Whatever's inside this reindeer is where your video is going to show. Whatever's outside, no video. All right, so let's build that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's our raw edit. Boom, boom, going from a Christmas tree to a girl drinking her hot cocoa. All right, so this definitely calls for a little bit of Rudolph action, right? Or reindeer, because Rudolph's probably copywritten. So go ahead and let's just make sure that we know where we're putting our matte. So let's just call layer 6 our matte layer, just for fun. And because these are transitions, you only want to line up with the second clip, the clip you're transitioning to, right? So don't even worry about this layer. So now I've got right here, I've got my clip we're transitioning to, and then the transition on top, right? So if you just look at it as normal, it'll look like this. Wee, boom. And then you've got this full white frame. What do I do with this? Well, it's the same exact procedure as the football player. So let's go ahead and highlight our top layer right here. Go over to our effects. And close that out if there's a search. And we want track matte key. And just put that on your top layer right there. Boom. Now go to Effect Controls or hit Shift 5, and you'll find Track Matte Key there, sitting there waiting for you to answer a couple questions. Now remember, what layer did we say we were going to put this on? We put this on layer 6. So tell it, hey, our matte is in layer 6. Boom. And then you'll immediately see that clip disappear, because you can see this little tiny shapes, these little reindeers right here. The video is already being forced into there. So look at this like a Play-Doh extruder, right? Ignore everything else you see on the screen. Nothing else matters. The only thing that matters when you're track matting are these two layers right here. The video and then the mat you're pushing the video through. So this is a Play-Doh extruder. This video right here is being pushed through this mat right here. So as you progress, you'll see the video get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually covering up the whole frame because the entire mat is white, right? So the entire frame is white. So check this out. Rolling back. And Rudolph. Excuse me, Randolph. There we go. Non-copywritten reindeer. Woo! So cool, there you go. It's that simple. Now, once you have this effect down, you can do this 1,000 times. And you also don't have to worry about, oh no, well, I have my mat here, but I really want the edit to be over here. What do I do? Don't stress. It's super simple. Just highlight both layers like so, and just move them to wherever you want. Now that transition will happen wherever you put it. I think sometimes people get stressed because there's other video happening in their timeline. Maybe it's in the middle of a big complicated edit, and you're like going, oh no, I've lost where everything is. Just relax, take a deep breath, and if you have to, build this over to the side of your edit and then move it in. And then you can even nest it. If you're like, okay, this is cool, but I don't want to deal with this anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just nest it. So just right-click and nest it, and you'll be fine, right? So don't stress too much over the matte transitions. They're not as complicated as they feel, and I think once you realize that it's literally just pushing one layer of video through another, you'll do this all the time, and it will be second nature to you. All right, so even though I've shown you how to do this, let's go ahead and, for good practice, let's keep on moving with the transitions, because maybe you're like, well, I have transitions, but I don't have the holiday pack, and I don't need Rudolph up in here in any time. So cool. Let's show you more of a corporate transition. Boom. You see this kind of transition all the time on TV shows, reality shows, commercials, you know, very, very bank friendly, this particular transition. All right, so let's move over to the raw version of this edit. So it's boom, boom. All right, so we've got corporate A to corporate B. All right, corporate. So let's go ahead and drag our...
There are a few movies playing near Boulder, Colorado today. Daddy's home too.
I don't live in Colorado.
On the Orient Express. A Bad Mom's Christmas.
Alexa,
Thor.
stop. I don't live in Boulder, Colorado. I don't... Anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and drag our transition over right here. And like I said, you can just see it happen. Whee! Okay, well, that's obviously not what we want to happen, but that's exactly what will happen. Cool. So what did we say before? We always line up the mat with our second layer, the layer transitioning to. So let's go ahead and just scooch it up like that, right? So it'll be like that. Okay, cool. Now you take this layer right here, and what did we do before? Track mat key. So let's go ahead and find our track mat key. Go to effects right here. And if it's closed out, just go type in track and just drag that onto your top layer like so. And then highlight that top layer and hit Shift 5 to take you to effect controls. I always call it effects because in my mind you can put more than one in this stack, but hey, I didn't write the software. Okay, so you're at track mat key, and once again it says, hey, where's your mat? Now I didn't put my mat in layer 6. I already broke my rule, but I did that deliberately. So if I put layer 6, nothing happens, right? So that's wrong. But if I put layer 4, you'll see it switch. Bloop. See? Bloop. Now we have ourselves a working transition. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of advice. A lot of times we get this phone call where you'll put the mat on the wrong thing. Do not put track mat on your mat unless you're trying to put a mat inside a mat, and that's real like Inception style stuff. Also, we get people saying things like, my mat disappeared. I had the edit, it was working, and now it's gone. Here's why it's gone. You're shuffling around your edit and you do this. Whammy. You moved your mat. It's no longer able to be seen because you're telling this layer right here that any type of video in layer 4 is a mat. Well, there's nothing in layer 4 right now. Or maybe you have the wrong thing in layer 4. Maybe you've got a piece of video in layer 4, right? Well, it can't find a mat because there's no alpha channel information there, right? That happens a lot. So if you lose your mat, don't freak out. Just always find your clip that has the mat and go, oh, hey, yeah, I told it it's on layer 4. But in reality, it's now on layer 5. Boop, done. Or you can move the mat itself. Cool. Because we like repetition here at Rampant, I'm going to do this one more time. Hopefully help people out if they're confused or still on the fence about using matte transitions. All right, so yet another kind of corporate-y, travel-y kind of thing. Boom. All right, so let's make this edit. Our last and final edit right here, going from the woods and a creek to a girl in the city going, I wish I was at the woods, I guess, or something. I don't know. So how do we transition from one to the other? Well, we take our transition right here, right? And we just drag it right on top of our edit. Now, what did I say before? I like to line up my top layer with my matte. So no matter what, this animation is going to match the top of this edit. So how do I get it to work? Well, let's go over here to our effects window, like so. Go to track matte key. Type in track. Drag this on top of your top video layer, like that, and go to effect controls, or type shift, or hit shift 5, and then just tell you where the matte is. Where's my matte right now? My matte is on layer 3. So roll it back, and done. And remember, you don't. What if you're like, if your client's like, well, this shot's on too long, I need to move this transition. Well, a lot of people go like this. They move this, and then they're like, hey, my shot's missing. Well, that's because your matte's moved, right? So if you move this layer, you need to move this layer. So always make sure that it's not the matte, it's what we're doing with the matte, right? So, I mean, we get this question a lot. So if you want to move this around, just drag both at the same time and move it around, and it's an instant transition wherever you want it to go. Whee! See? So don't worry about it. Mattes aren't scary. They're awesome, and they really power your video, and they can really take your video up a notch. But like I said before, if you have any comments or questions, head on over to the Rampant community. That's rampantdesign.community, rampantdesign.community, and that will take you right here. And you can ask specific questions, like if you need support for something specific, or if you just want to jump into the conversation. There's all kinds of different questions and conversations going on right here. As you can see, ooh, look at all these things people talking about. And the great thing about our community is you can show off your work. You can ask other people for help on how they use Rampant. You don't always need my advice. Yeah, I make this stuff, and Stephanie makes this stuff, but maybe you want advice from somebody else who's currently using it, and you don't want to emulate my style. Maybe you want to look at somebody else's style. It's all going down right here. So head on over to rampantdesign.community, and you can make feature requests. You can get training. You can ask a question. It's a lot of fun, and you can meet other people. And you know what? You can send me a message, and I'll send you one right back. All right, so that's how you use transitions in any of the Rampant style kits. Head on over to rampantstylekits.com and load up on all your favorite kits. And, well, I'm Sean, and you're you. And until next time, I'll catch you later.